our reaction to qualifying for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. We are here today to reflect on qualifying for the second round of the season. Yes, it was indeed your boy Tommy, Max Verstappen, being relentless and trying really hard and doing all of his homework and getting pole position by quite a large margin in the, the general conversation of Formula One qualifying. This is a big margin, 0.3. But we had lots of other interesting talking points up and down the grid, so it definitely made it still an interesting quali to watch.
Indeed, the fight for P2 was once again epic. I feel like it's going to be another one of those seasons potentially where we're like, imagine if Max wasn't there, we'd have a 3-car battle for pole and 3-car battles for the win and all this kind of stuff. But Max is just unstoppable right now.
Now, before we dive into qualifying, there's a shout out to our Patreon, where you can get access to our private Discord, which has an amazing community. Plus, you can also get bonus episodes, ad-free listening. We've also released an episode about the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix back in 2021 in our Short View Back to the Past series. And we'd love for you to check that out. You also get early access to our P1 live show tickets and all kinds of other lovely benefits. So go and check that out. It'll be a link in the description all over our link tree and all that good stuff. Right, let's start with Q1 then, shall we? Although, really, we sort of had a lot of news before Q1, but we're talking about qualifying, so let's talk about the star of the show, which was, of course, Ollie Bearman, who was replacing Carlos Sainz, who we wish a speedy recovery. I've heard or read that he's already had his surgery and he's now resting up, ready to hopefully, I guess, come back, fingers crossed, for Australia. But that has opened up a massive opportunity for a young driver, which we don't get to see all too often in Formula One these days, because apparently drivers don't change teams or leave the sport anymore, according to last year into this year. But Ollie Bearman, an 18-year-old Brit in a Ferrari, making his debut with only one practice session under his belt, being flown into qualifying around one of the most daunting circuits on the calendar.
What a dream debut. 18 years old, driving for Ferrari. I mean, this is why I'm not a Formula One driver, and he will have that mentality of, you know, wanting to achieve more. But whatever happens in his career, he has driven for Ferrari. Like, that is an incredible thing to happen even now, and he's just 18 years old. It's incredible.
When you say it like that, that's pretty awesome. So maybe they'll call me up next time. But yes, Ollie Bearman, of course, stepping in. You say dream. I don't think it's a dream to have to negotiate 27 turns of the Jeddah Corniche circuit as your first outing in the 2024 Ferrari Formula One car, but it's definitely close to being a dream, I would say. And Ollie as well, I think, showing his mentality that is not like ours by apologising when he got 11th and looking like he was genuinely quite disappointed with not making it through to Q3. But he was only, I think, 6/10 off in Q2 and he was knocked out. Like, that's how close it was between Verstappen at the top, I think, with a 28.0, and then Ollie Bearman did a 28.6 and got knocked out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a 28.6, yeah, very, very close indeed. It was so close to pipping Hamilton as well. Like, that would have been an even more unbelievable story than it already is.
We've skipped ahead, but who cares? Let's talk about Q1 now. The chronology is all over the place, but who cares? Out in this session was Bottas, Ocon, Gasly, Sargent, and Zhou, with no time set. I guess Alpine showcasing it was not a one-off. They are genuinely washed. Yeah, I'd still say that is a big story to talk about. They were 0.3 off even being close to making it through to Q2. So it's not like they missed out by 0.5 or something like that. They were still probably the worst team, or collectively, yes, the worst team.
They are the worst team. There's a driver in there that's making them not look the back of the grid, but they are the worst team in terms of pace, definitely. So far off. I mean, if you'd have said that they'd be 0.3 off Valtteri Bottas in a Sauber, and 0.4 off a Haas. Insane.
And it shows as well that it is the car, because Ocon and Gasly were 0.004 of a second separated, so they were both
they're
trying
getting
to get
everything
the most
out
they
of
can. Yeah, exactly. And they're no slouches either, those two drivers. So very disappointing for Alpine. Question from Ross Bella 16. Should Bearman replace Logan or K-Mag on the grid? Well, look, we're not going to get into replacements just yet because K-Mag's done okay these first couple of races, I will say. Like, he's done all right. But yes, I think Ollie Bearman, through his practice sessions where he's turned up previously and done really, really well in the Haas, but then now as well, to have all of that pressure on your shoulders of driving for Ferrari, as we've mentioned, and to stick it 11th on the grid. Let's come on. Let's move this up. Let's move this a bit quicker because he's not going to get many more. Well, he's not going to get any more opportunities apart from this weekend to drive in a Ferrari anytime soon. So he is showcasing, if he has a good race as well, that he's ready for the call-up.
Yeah, it's very good. I think it's unfair to mention K-Mag's name at the moment because he's doing an all right job. Of course, last year, yeah, he wasn't particularly great, but so far K-Mag's had a good season. Logan Sargent, on the other hand, though, it's not had the best start to the year. It almost seems like he's continued where he left off. Yeah, it's not looking good for Logan so far. I really did think he'd have a better year, but then that's what happens when Matt Gallagher predicts your biggest flop, eh?
Whoops. But hey, he might have a great race. We will have to wait and see. Of course, it was a shame for Zhou to not manage to get a time because that team were working so hard to fix the car that he, of course, after having that crash in FP3, caused. And he must have missed by a few seconds because they got him out the pits with about 1 minute 45
to the team.
Yeah, not that they would have got through anyway because Bottas showed that there wasn't exactly much pace in the car anyway. And he's only a few places behind his teammate. But yeah, a bit gutting for Zhou for sure. And that pretty much sums up Q1 stories, really. Let's go to Q2 now then. And of course, we have mentioned it. Ollie Bearman misses out by 0.03 seconds, making it through to Q3 and would have knocked out Lewis Hamilton, of all people. And that would have rivaled a story similar to when Lawson knocked out Verstappen, wasn't it, really, when he came in at Singapore. But still, an incredibly great performance from Ollie. So out in Q2, I forgot to say this at the beginning, was Bearman, Magnussen, Ricciardo, Albon and Hulkenberg. Disappointing for Hulk. I think almost to the second I had said on our Twitch live stream that Hulkenberg was 100% going to make it through to Q3 and was showing some really good pace, and then his car turned off. So disappointing for Nico because I genuinely think he would have knocked out Hamilton. If you actually look at that he could have been the one to push Hamilton out. But alas, his car didn't work. His pace was looking great, so I'm still hopeful that Nico can do something good in the race because the Haas does look better, at least from Bahrain, and the evidence we have there that they have better race pace and the tyres aren't chewed up as much. But yeah, it was a shame for Nico.
It was indeed. He just needs to make sure he doesn't plough into someone at turn one. Normally, it's the kind of amazing quality performance that we see from Hulkenberg and he drops back, but despite having that problem, he's only right behind his teammate on the grid in terms of where they line up. So,
next question from the F1 Losophy: is Ricciardo really washed? Getting beat by Tsunoda by over 5/10 is honestly a joke. Wow, not pulling any punches. But yeah, Tsunoda's absolutely schooled Daniel Ricciardo this weekend, and this is not what Danny Rick needs or wants if he has any ambitions to move to a bigger sister team. And it's probably a mixture. Danny Rick not performing very well, Yuki Tsunoda having an amazing performance. I don't want to just pin it just on Daniel. I think Yuki's done a great job and that needs to be commended as well, because getting that RB into that top 5 team bracket is no mean feat.
It is only the second race, but yeah, Daniel Ricciardo being this far off Tsunoda is a big surprise. It's kind of no better than De Vries was at the moment, but Ricciardo has shown last year, towards the end of last year, that he was on pace with Tsunoda and would beat him, and he got that amazing result in Mexico. That being said, not had the greatest start to the year, and if he keeps playing in performances like this, he's got absolutely no hope of Red Bull, especially the fact that Sergio Perez is, he's behind Max, but he's doing what he needs to do in just sort of being there or thereabouts, finishing the race second. He's qualified third again.
Okay, Q3 then, and it was Verstappen, Leclerc, Perez, Alonso, Piastri, Norris, Russell, Hamilton, Tsunoda and Stroll at your top 10. Question from Dr. 382: is Fernando on for a podium, or are the Red Bulls and Charles too quick? I cannot see the Alonso one-lap pace translating into race pace. If Bahrain is anything to go by, I feel as though he is going to have a job on his hands to stay in P4. You've got the two McLarens that have been going very quietly about their business this weekend. P5 and P6, which I think is a great result for McLaren. And they are usually, well, they were quite good in the race last week. They were quicker than the Aston Martin last week in Bahrain. So I would have to say that, yeah, Alonso's going to be driving on his mirrors, but it is also Alonso. So if he gets a great start, he'll probably be leading into turn 1. So, but I think it will be difficult for him to score a podium for sure.
It will be. It seemed surprising how quick they were in qualifying. Then again, last race Alonso did a great job in qualifying, probably over-delivered where that car should be. I don't think Aston Martin are anywhere near a position to be sort of like fourth or the second or third best team.
Another big talking point has to be Mercedes. They line up 7th and 8th, Russell ahead of Hamilton. People saying Hamilton really slow. He ended up being only a 10th and a half off Russell, and I think, again, Bahrain, we would jump into conclusions. Well, not we, but people were about, Hamilton was 9th, I think, wasn't he? And George was 3rd, and that was actually a couple of tenths as well. Hamilton's clearly lacking some confidence in this car. There's no doubt about it. Mercedes are nearly a second off Verstappen. They're falling back, if anything.
I predicted him biggest flop because I personally don't think he's been all that great at this track. Part of it is the fact that he does start the season slow, and ever since Saudi became one of the earlier races, he's not gone too well there. So he's just getting more dialed into the car, and as soon as he gets on top of it, it wouldn't surprise me that he would beat Russell. And we know that Hamilton is a lot better in the races anyway. You look at the last race with George starting 3rd, Hamilton starting 9th, and he still ended up right near George at the end, despite a broken seat and their car problems. So don't write him off just yet.
And also a big shout out to Charles Leclerc. 7 front row starts in a row for that man. An absolute beast
really
in qualifying. And 5 straight Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc front rows, which is also quite.
That's got to be some kind of
isn't
record. That's got to be a record for two people that aren't in the same team.
It's wild. And when you look back at these seasons on paper, you go, oh well, Max didn't. It wasn't Red Bull dominating. It wasn't that much of a domination. Charles Leclerc's up there. But I'm just glad he didn't get pole, because we don't want any more of that record being extended. So yeah,
the record's still on.
Yep, cool. And that is it. Thank you, everybody. Lots of love. See you soon. And we will be raving about tomorrow's incredible race.
Please.
Won't we, Tommy?
Yeah.
Bye.
Come on, Logie. P1.